Hey everyone, it's the Doom Dog. It's been a while since my last analytical video review. The PlayStation 2 video was rather experimental for me, and it was a lot of fun to do. Thank you to everyone that participated in it, but I do think it's time we get back to a more traditional Doom Dog video. With that in mind, I recently did a playthrough of the 2006 first-person shooter Prey over on Twitch. Let's talk about it. Join me as we take a look at Prey for the PC. In the wake of the newer Prey from 2017, the game that it got its name from seems to have largely been forgotten, which is a little odd since the 2006 game was a hit at the time. Then again, it is not hard to see why the 2006 game is not on Steam or GOG and the 2017 game just being given its name. It's almost like the original game is being buried. But why? Does it deserve to be forgotten? Or is it a hidden gem that deserves a re-release or a remaster? Let's talk about it. Prey was first conceived in 1995, and it had a long journey to release. The game lingered in development hell for over a decade before it finally came out. The team had some very ambitious ideas for the game, and they were aiming for a 2 to 3 year development cycle. Obviously, they failed to meet that goal, and the original developers at 3D Realms would ultimately hand off the game to another development studio called Human Head Studios. The team had big ideas, like being able to use portals to transfer from one section of a level to another, and you could shoot through those portals, and your bullets would come out the other side. They had an engine with a working prototype by sometime in 1996, but they kept running into roadblocks with the tech not being able to keep up with what they wanted to do with it. Greg Broussard, one of the co-founders of Apogee and 3D Realms, had his own ideas for the game that he wanted to implement that differed and conflicted with a lot of the team developing the game, and this would ultimately lead to conflicts and people leaving the studio. Paul Shatima, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, was brought in to take control of the project, and he would oversee the creation of a tech demo in 1997 that would be shown off at E3. It showcased the portal technology and impressed critics at the show. Excitement for the game was quite high as a result. This version of Prey saw players take control of a Native American warrior named Talon Brave, and he was taken to an artificially created world inhabited by 3 distinct species, with a 4th secret one called the Keepers. This build was shown off again at E3 the following year, and critics were once again impressed with praise for the graphics, effects, and innovative tech on display. The 1998 version had some changes to its story and world, however. The main character, Talon Brave, was now an Apache. He was 27 years old and he was living on a reservation in Arizona. He would get abducted by aliens and taken aboard a mothership instead of another planet. The aliens with the 3 races and the secret keeper race, however, remained the same as it was in 1997. At the time, 3D Realms seemed confident that the game would ship in 1999, at least publicly. Behind the scenes, however, they had switched priorities, moving from one project that stayed in development hell to another as Duke Nukem Forever became the team's top priority. This did not spell good things for Prey, even without the hindsight of Duke Nukem Forever taking even longer to release than Prey ultimately took. Around this time, 3DFX was in financial trouble, and the team felt that they had no choice but to change development of Prey from 3DFX Glide Focus to Microsoft DirectX Focus. This did, however, mean that the engine would need to be rewritten. which would mean the game would be delayed even further, and it was already 4 years into development. The decision was ultimately made to put Prey on hold. They never officially canceled the game, but they had no one at the studio actively working on the game at this time, leading to widespread rumors of its cancellation. In 2001, a new publisher, Take-Two Interactive, expressed interest in continuing development of Prey, still seeing promise in it. 3D Realms was still on board trying to get Duke Nukem Forever out the door, so the development was handed to another studio, Human Head Studios, that had worked on a game called Rune. 3D Realms would still oversee what Human Head was doing, though. A lot of what Prey was maintained for when Human Head took over, though changes were made. Instead of an Apache, the main character was made Cherokee, and he was renamed Tommy. Him being Cherokee also helped inform his capabilities in the game, and the development started on a new engine, id Tech 4, the engine that would go on to power Doom 3 in 2004. Due to things like budget restraints, what Human Head sought to do with Prey did have to be cut back some. A gun that shoots portals much like the game Portal was going to be in Prey originally. It had to be scaled back, and the portals were in set places because they did not have the time or cash to properly implement the idea into the game. Prey was still publicly shown off once again in 2005 with a promised release date of 2006 on PC and Xbox 360, and critics praised the preview of the new build heavily. Excitement and buzz for the forgotten game was back on once again. Prey would ultimately release on July 11, 2006. It reviewed well, and it sold over 1 million copies in its first 2 months after release, cementing it as a success. Prey had made a lot of big promises over its long development cycle. Games with long development cycles often feel like they are a product of implementing new popular ideas over and over again to create a mishmash that might not mix well together. How did Prey come out the other side after its development hell? Join me as we take a look and find out. Prey opens up with narration for the main character's grandfather, saying that the world is full of stories and they allow themselves to be told from time to time. The game opens in a bathroom of a bar on a Native American reservation in Oklahoma. A woman's voice called out to the main character, Tommy. Her name is Jen. Tommy is looking at himself and lamenting the fact that he cannot bring himself to tell Jen that he loves her. After leaving the bathroom, his grandfather stops him in the hallway. He comes with a warning about how Tommy needs to accept his Cherokee heritage and how it will become very important very soon. Tommy brushes this off and ignores him. In the main area of the bar, there are 2 customers bothering Jen, who is the bartender. She wants Tommy's attention, and she tells him to get his wrench off of the bar, and he picks it up and apologizes. This will be your first weapon in this game. Tommy's grandfather mentions that Jen loves him, and Tommy is unconvinced. He thinks she should want to leave the reservation, and he is convinced that there is something better out there for him and her than just this. He brings it up to her, but she says that this is his home here with her people. Tommy hates it here, and he tries to talk her into it, but it does no good. Something is spooking the wolves outside, and it is your first hint that something is wrong. Eventually, the 2 customers get more aggressive, talking to Jen. Tommy speaks up in her defense, and they get up and attack him over this. You are forced to fight them. For some reason, this upsets Jen, and she speaks up saying that you could have killed them. While true, they did attack him first. It was an act of self-defense. Why is she upset by him defending himself? Would she rather him get beat up? This is about where the emergency broadcast system comes on, and we get a really cool sequence where we get the best use of the song Don't Fear the Reaper by Blue Oyster Cult in a video game outside of the FMV game with Christopher Walken, Ripper, from 1996. Green lights come down from the sky, and the truck is pulled up into the sky, the roof of the bar gets pulled off, and Tommy gets pulled up into the sky along with Jen and his grandfather. When you come to, you are stuck together, strapped to some kind of conveyor hanging you by your arms. The aliens reveal themselves to you, and you are helpless as you start to move throughout the ship with a lot of other people. You are led to various parts of the ship. At one point, you see a guy plant what turns out to be a bomb on the track, and it disrupts it, and it frees Tommy. Jen and his grandfather are still trapped, however. Time to get to work trying to get away out of this mess that you have been forced into. As Tommy travels throughout the ship, he starts noticing very strange things going on, with all the aliens running along what appears to be the ceiling. At least from his perspective, clearly gravity works differently than it does back on Earth. He comes across a machine that appears to be smashing people into paste. Jen and his grandfather are in line for this. Tommy is not able to save his grandfather, who dies a gruesome death here. But the process is stopped before Jen receives the same fate. Something unexplained happens to Tommy that makes his head hurt. Shortly thereafter, he discovers a path that can let him walk on walls or ceilings. This means that enemies can shoot at you from another wall or ceiling and can attack you from all kinds of strange angles. He comes across a small rock in a glass case, and a portal opens up. This leads to the rock in the glass case, and an enemy approaches the glass case and sees Tommy down on the rock. He enters the portal, making them both the same size, and Tommy has to deal with him. Clearly, perspective is different here than it is on Earth as well, and there are portals that can lead you to various parts of the ship. Jen goes by you screaming, and Tommy encounters a hologram of the ship he is on. It is a sphere, and it is revealed that he is in outer space. At one point, Tommy is crossing a bridge that looks rather unsafe, and the enemies shoot it down, causing Tommy to fall to his death. His spirit awakens in the afterlife with his grandfather, is here with him. Look, Tommy, I know you are resistant to your grandfather earlier in the game, but I think we can both agree that your situation is royally fucked up. I think it is time for you to shut up and listen to the man instead of dismissing him. Capiche? No, of course not. His grandfather beckons him to come over with him to the spirit cave. Here he will find the spirit of his childhood pet, a hawk named Talon, will guide you through this game. I will get into how this affects the gameplay later, but Talon is cool. He is useful. You will be glad to have him by your side throughout the rest of the game. Should you decide to play this for yourself, just trust me on this. Anyway, Tommy objects because, of course he fucking does. He says he does not have time for this right now because he needs to save Jen. I get this, but how do you know how time works here? You might have all the time in the world for what your grandfather wants to teach you. You don't know. And what your grandfather wants to teach Tommy is spirit walking, in which his spirit leaves his body temporarily, giving him access to areas that his body cannot. He also teaches him about using a spirit bow, which is a bow and arrow that he can use to attack different enemies in his spirit form. Both of these will come in handy. After gaining this ability and the bow, Tommy begs to be sent back instead of staying and learning more from his grandfather like he should, and his grandfather obliges, sending him back. Remember when Tommy experienced something that made his head hurt? Yeah, that happens again, except he can understand it now. It's a female voice, presumably one of the aliens, speaking to Tommy. She is surprised that Tommy can now understand her, and she instructs the aliens to hunt and kill him. You see another person on the ship that seems to want to help you. He warns you about enemies lurking ahead. Thanks. I couldn't have worked that one out on my own. I joke, but these guys will become important later on. Not much further along, Tommy comes across the ghosts of dead children. Holy shit, this game's got balls, man. The female voice notes that the ghosts were not here before you arrived, and she is curious about this. At some point, you come across the whole bar that you started the game in. It is just up here as part of the ship now, with the weird growths from all over the ship inside it. Beyond this, you find a whole commercial airplane crashing through the ship. It crash lands right in front of you, and it seems like the aliens are abducting entire planes worth of people. Lord knows how many people they've abducted like this. Men, women, and children. This needs to end. Someone needs to put a stop to it. Tommy eventually comes across where the plane crashed down to the ship. A stranger beckons Tommy to follow him. Then he finds a passenger from the plane who is terrified out of his wits. I get it, dude. I would be terrified too. He was flying over Topeka when it happened. Not too long after this, you come across a haunted bus in another one of the game's more memorable set pieces. Shortly after that, Tommy finds himself trapped in an event. Someone below him gets mauled by a monster. Tommy tries to warn him, but it does no good. This is the first boss fight. After Tommy defeats the creature, the female voice contacts him. She is surprised that he is still alive. Not too long afterwards, a pair of aliens get thrown onto the path in front of Tommy. They are dead. The people that killed them run off before Tommy can speak to them. However, your grandfather contacts you, and he pulls you back into the afterlife with him. Tommy, this is the time for you to shut the fuck up and listen. But, of course, you won't. He says that the aliens are a threat to humanity. Something Tommy probably should have worked out by now. He sends him back to the spirit cave. Tommy has a vision of Jen. She is still alive. His grandfather wants to train him further, but he won't listen. He demands to be sent back to the ship. There are others that you can contact on the ship. We have seen them, but Tommy has not yet gotten to speak to them. He tells Tommy to find them and sends him back. The voice contacts Tommy again, wondering where he got to. Tommy comes across more of the people that he kept getting glimpses of all over the ship. This time they speak to him. They tell him that someone called the Priestess wants to talk to him. Go with them. They lead him to a door where the doorman let him pass, and he is greeted by the woman, the Priestess. Her group is called the Hidden, and they were abducted long ago. They have been a thorn in the side of the aliens for years, and they have been causing trouble where they can while remaining out of sight. This spear goes from one world to another, abducting the inhabitants of many different worlds, turning them all into food or more warriors, or whatever the sphere may need. A creature known as the Keeper is the hunter, and the abductees are the prey. Oh hey, name drop! Despite hearing all this, Tommy still just wants to find Jen and get out of here. Dude, it is time you realize that this whole damn thing is much bigger than you. What good does it do going home with Jen if the planet is devoid of life because the aliens abducted and killed the entire fucking species? The Hidden have stolen some of the aliens' teleportation tech, and they are trying to use it to create a portal back to Earth so that they can escape or get help or something. But there's one problem though. The Keeper stands in the way of this, and the priestess asks Tommy to destroy the creature for her. They wish to analyze the creature's brain to get the final pieces that they need to make the teleporter work. They cannot risk confronting the Keeper, but Tommy should be able to. She opens a portal to the Keeper's experimentation labs where he experiments on all sorts of living creatures, and he says Jen is there. Tommy agrees to help. Tommy catches a glimpse of the Keeper, and the female voice asks Tommy what he is hoping to accomplish. Tommy sees Jen on a monitor, and he comes across what appears to be a military broadcast with the armed forces dealing with the aliens back on Earth. He finds Jen being tortured on another monitor, and he gets a glimpse of the Keeper. The female voice laughs about something. "What's so funny, bitch?" Tommy finds Jen trapped on the floor below him. He needs to find a way to get down to her. After doing so, he frees her. She says she wants to go back to the reservation. Poor girl, she has been through hell. Tommy has her follow him, and the Hidden contact Tommy. The Keeper has found them, and they are in deep shit. Make your way back to them to see if you can do anything for them. When Tommy finds his way back to the Hidden, the place has been ransacked by the Keeper. He sent the aliens to kill them and destroy the place. The priestess asks Tommy to do what he can to save her and her people. Tommy has Jen stay behind with her while he heads out to try to find a way to do just that. The Hidden open up a secret panel on the wall and let Tommy through. To the surprise of fucking no one playing the game, the enemy flies through carrying Jen with it. And she is screaming for Tommy. Like all of you, I saw this coming from a mile away. Tommy is pissed though, and he vows to kill them all. The voice speaks up, thanking Tommy for helping them find the Hidden. I guess they followed him to them. Tommy demands to know where Jen is, but he gets no answer. He does see her fly by on the other side of a window, being carried by an alien though. The voice speaks to Tommy again. She calls him very persistent. She says that you are at the base of a huge tower in the sphere. She says that it is insanely massive and that it will take you quite some time to climb. She wonders if Tommy has the strength to go through with it. Tommy demands to know why she is doing this to him and Jen, but he gets no response. She speaks to you again and asks one more time where you think you're going. The next time she speaks to Tommy, she is impressed with him. Tommy destroys whatever the hell this thing is. It must be very important since this action actually manages to anger the voice. This pleases Tommy. She says that he is becoming a problem, so keep up the good work. She contacts Tommy again and says he should have listened to his grandfather. That's what I've been saying all along, bitch. She sees potential in him. She also mentions that she has been helping him. How exactly? Tommy calls her the Keeper, and she just laughs in response. She says he does not understand, and she mentions that Jen is with her. She tells Tommy that he has come a long way, but he still has a long way to go. She tells him to submit to her, and she will take him directly to Jen. Fuck off, lady. No one is submitting to your evil ass. She presents Tommy with a series of portals, and she says that choosing the right one might lead him to Jen, but choosing the wrong one could leave him to die in the vacuum of space. She says for him to prove his worth, solve the puzzle before you, and Tommy winds up closer to Jen's location. She says she kept her side of the bargain, but I don't remember making a bargain with her. Do you? She says she is impressed with Tommy's bravery and determination. Step through the portal and Tommy hears Jen. She is in pain. Approach the pod and free her. She cannot feel her legs and she has been infused into an alien as part of it. This is the next boss fight, so take it out. Afterwards, Jen is still alive and she is begging Tommy to kill her. He does not want to do it, but he ultimately has no choice. This game makes you kill her. I say again, this game has balls. Tommy's last words to Jen are that he loves her. The voice speaks up and says that his emotions clouded his judgment. This isn't Star Wars, asshole. She once again says that she sees potential in Tommy. She promises to make him immortal. Tommy rejects this, and he calls out to his grandfather, finally willing to listen. Tommy, you should have done this from the start. I mean, better late than never, but who knows what you might have been capable of if you had just listened to the man. Tommy winds up back in the afterlife with his grandfather. 7 trials await him now that he is willing to listen for a fucking change. Each trial represents a sacred clan. Grandfather mentions that his ancestors are fighting off the aliens now, and he has Tommy head to the spirit cave. Here, Tommy is given a health upgrade, and the voice contacts Tommy here as well. She says that you led them right to the land of your ancestors. The aliens start showing up, warring with your ancestors, and your grandfather calls out to you. Go to him and see what he needs. He is holding off a group of aliens, and he says that you have to return to the sphere. Tommy wants to stay and help his grandfather, but he has to return. The ancestors will deal with the aliens here. Fight the aliens until you get a portal to return back to the sphere. Tommy finally catches up with the Keeper, and guess what? This creature has a very different voice from that of the female voice that has been talking to you this whole game. She is not the Keeper. You could probably have guessed this when she reacted to Tommy calling her the Keeper. The Keeper wonders why Tommy is here, and Tommy says to avenge his people. The Keeper scoffs at this idea. He says that they created humanity just to consume them later on like cattle. When they first found Earth, it was a barren planet, and they seeded it with life. Tommy was spared because he is unique and powerful. Personally, I think Tommy was spared because the Hidden freed him at the beginning of the game. But whatever, the Keeper seems to think that Tommy will join them and become a god. Tommy says that he is here to kill them, and the Keeper says that his skills are great, but not great enough to kill the Keepers. Like more than one. He says that you will fail, and you will finally get to fight the Keeper. Take him out. After the fight, Tommy says that it's over. I do not know what makes him think this. This creature is clearly not the voice that he's been hearing this entire time. So this is odd to me. She speaks up and says that it is not over. She gives Tommy a portal to another chamber where there are more Keepers. Oh hey, there is more than one. Time to fight more of these creatures. After doing so, she says again that she is impressed with Tommy. Tommy says that she can send as many Keepers as she wants. He will not stop fighting. She says she could have Tommy killed instantly if she wanted to, and he calls bullshit. I have to agree with Tommy here. You were getting angry at him just a bit ago. If you could do that at any point, why haven't you done it yet? You either can't or you need something from him. If you need something from him, why does it have to be him in specific and not someone that might be more cooperative? It makes no sense, so I think Tommy might be right. She reiterates that your life is in her hands, though, and she offers to kill the Keepers in the room as a sign of good faith. She then kills them all right in front of you. I am sure she has more stored somewhere that we haven't been. This sphere is massive. She gives Tommy a portal directly to her, so take it. Tommy winds up in front of an orb. Apparently, this has not been seen by humans for thousands of years. She awaits you. Tommy finally reaches her, and she is humanoid, formerly human. She was brought here thousands of years ago when she fought the aliens, just like he has. Eventually, fought her way to this very chamber. She found the former leader of the sphere, and it recognized that she was exceptional, just like Tommy is. It promised her that her people would be saved if she took the leader's place, and she took the deal. She believes Tommy will do the same. Time to fight her. Eventually, the battle shield shifts to a different location, and she says that she wants Tommy to replace her. He came here to kill her, and she says that it's a waste of time to even try. I think you should try anyway. After you defeat her, she wants to know why. Tommy says he could not let this sphere go on destroying entire populations and cultures. She points out that the sphere and its aliens are a culture. While she is right about this, that culture stepped on the toes of other cultures and snuffed them out entirely, denying them the right to even exist. She asks Tommy once again to become the new leader of the sphere, and she places him in the center of it, where he found her. He feels the immense power offered by the ship, and he is tempted by it. Luckily, his grandfather speaks up and talks some sense into him. This sphere must be destroyed, and Tommy listens to the man for once. He places the sphere on a direct crash course with the sun, where it is ultimately destroyed. Tommy lines up back in the land of the ancestors with his grandfather. It is not yet his time. He wants to stay here with him and Jen, but he cannot. He says goodbyes, and he is sent back to Earth. There is a quick scene after the credits where Tommy is back at the bar 6 months later. He is having it fixed up, and the priestess steps through a portal to greet him. She says the portal worked, but it did not work in the way that they had hoped. It took them to some powerful beings who took interest in Tommy. She has him step right through the portal to meet them. This is where the game ends. It ends on a fucking cliffhanger. The ending that you are given does wrap up most of the loose ends, and it is satisfying. But this cliffhanger does sting because it will almost certainly never be resolved. I will get more into this later, but yeah, we have never gotten more of this game, its story, or its world. There is no DLC or expansion. There is no sequel to this game either. This is all we have gotten, and it sucks because I like what is here. I want more. Overall, I like this game's story. It is interesting. It sets up a fascinating world. It has multiple memorable sequences. It is rather spooky at times and intriguing and will keep you interested from start to finish. It has a few cool twists here and there to keep things interesting from start to finish. If you have never played Prey before, this is a story worth experiencing for yourself. It will not necessarily blow your socks off or anything, but there is more than enough here to chew on to leave you satisfied and wanting more. The only real problem that I have here with this narrative is Tommy himself. I get that his whole arc is him learning to accept and embrace what it means to be Cherokee, his heritage and his people. I get that, but he is so resistant to it for most of the game's runtime, and I eventually just like, okay, dude, it is time for you to shut up and listen to what your grandfather has to say. He gets on my nerves before the game ends, and he really only seems to accept it when he is all but given no other choice at the very end of the game. It irritates me, and I wish he was more accepting of his grandfather's teachings. Beyond that, I really like this story. One of the things that I did not touch on in my critique of the story is how good the world building is. Take your time to look around you at all the environments that you travel through. See all the moving parts and whatnot. Pay attention to everything around you. There is plenty to see and interact with as you travel throughout the sphere. And the world building is absolutely excellent in this game. One particular smart choice they made for this game was bringing in Art Bell. If you don't know who that is, he made a name for himself running a nationally syndicated radio show called Coast to Coast AM, on which he would have people call in to discuss paranormal experiences. If you have heard Tool's album Lateralis, then you have heard a call from his radio show on the track 5D Oyad. I hope I pronounced that correctly, I probably didn't. Anyway, he was brought in to effectively do coast-to-coast segments for this game. At numerous points throughout the game, you will find parts of the ship where you will hear sections of a broadcast of his show, and callers are all talking about what is going on as the sphere is abducting people. It is really cool and a smart addition that helps keep the game somewhat grounded. You can even catch a segment where the keeper calls into the show. Art dismisses this as a prank call, but we know better. These are worth your time to sit and listen to as you play. When the developers were creating Tommy, Jen, and his grandfather, they did call in representatives of the Cherokee tribe to make sure that they got things right. The end result is that Tommy, being Cherokee, wound up meaning more to this game and its story than the original 1998 version ever did. It informed his abilities such as spirit walking and the spirit guide Talon, who was his pet hawk as a child. I do not know that they got all of this stuff 100% right, as I am the wrong person to ask about this kind of thing, but the game was praised for how it represented Cherokee elements. All in all, this game tells an interesting, if somewhat predictable at times, story that is worth your time to sit and play through, and it has an ending that leaves you satisfied but wanting more. The world it builds around you is far more fascinating and interesting, though, and it is a shame that we will probably never get more of that. Tommy is rather annoying at times, but it doesn't drag down the overall experience too much. That's enough about the story. How does the game look? I should note that you are looking at the PC version of this game, though it is not completely stock. The game does not have modern resolutions built in. You cannot run the PC version at 1080p, 1440p, which is what I recorded it at, or 4K straight out of the box. You have to do a little bit of editing to the INI file to get the game running properly at modern resolutions, and I installed a mod that displays the HUD in proper widescreen. I also used a program that can run it in borderless window mode, so I could actually record it. Beyond that, it's stock. Aside from the resolution thing, you really should not have any problems running this game on modern rigs. It ran just fine on mine while I was playing through it. If you choose to play the PC version, you should not have too much trouble getting it to work well to modern standards. Once you do, you see the results. It is rather impressive just how well this game holds up given that it is now 20 years old. This game does look quite good for its age. This is the Doom 3 engine with modifications to fit the developer's needs, and it shows. Much like Doom 3 itself and Raven Software's Quake 4, it holds up pretty well. When you get up close, you will see that it does show its age. You will see that round edges do not look quite as round as they once did, and textures are lower resolution compared to what you can expect today, but the engine was extremely high-end when Doom 3 came out, and it really helps hold up well to this day. What really helps with the Doom 3 engine in specific is how good the lighting and shadows were. This was the big deal with the Doom 3 engine when it came out. The lighting and shadows were so far beyond anything else that anyone was doing at the time. It definitely shows in Doom 3 and Quake 4, and the lighting and shadows in this game still look great. And good lighting can transform a scene from dull to amazing. Just take a look at Half-Life with ray tracing or the ray tracing mods for Doom or Quake for examples of this. Beyond just the lighting on a technical level is the way in which it is used. The way games were lit at the time, with things like stencil shadows and whatnot, was artistic in its design. Good art will always be good, no matter how old it gets. And this is part of why the lighting in this game just looks so damn good all these years later. And it does go a long way to disguising the game's faults that would otherwise become more evident over time. The lighting and shadows are beautiful in this game. Beyond that, the Doom 3 engine did a number of other things quite well, like its particle effects, smoke effects, and fog. All of these can hide a game's shortcomings as well, but they can only do it effectively if they are used in the right way. Human Head understood the assignment here. The fog, particle, and smoke effects still look pretty good to this day. It's great. The art design is also worthy of praise. I mentioned earlier that you should take your time to look around the environments at all the environmental storytelling in this game, and one reason that stands out is because the art design is endlessly interesting and genuinely excellent. The sphere is an unholy mishmash of cold mechanical steel and living biological tissue that gives off an eerie vibe of something that should not exist but does. The guns all feel like this too. Take a look at them all. They are all alive. They move and pulsate on their own when you hold them. All in all, the game holds up surprisingly well for a 20-year-old game. If you get this game running properly at modern resolutions, it can impress at a distance at least. When you get up close, the textures are obviously low resolution and character models are obviously dated as well. When fighting enemies in the environments with all the cool looking weapons though, it still looks quite good. And you wouldn't guess that it is as old as it is. How is the audio then? How does it sound? Putting simply, this holds up even better than the graphics do. While the graphics do show their age in a few areas, the audio certainly doesn't. The game gets high watermarks across the board in the audio department, and I am not sure I have a single negative thing to say in this regard. This game just sounds great. Let's start with the audio design. The weapons tend to have decent power to them. They all sound good when you fire them, and this applies to everything from the basic hunter rifle all the way to the more powerful rocket launcher type of weapon, the crawler cannon. They all have power behind them when you fire them. You guys know I love good weapon audio in my first-person shooters, and this game certainly does have it. It's not quite at the level of Fear, but few things are. The environmental noises are great too. There is a lot of living tissue spread throughout the sphere in this game, and it makes all kinds of gross noises as you walk on it, pass by it, or open doors. Monitors and computers and electronic equipment all have different beeps and boops that help bring them all to life. The noises that the portals make do not sound out of place at all. The sphere sounds so alien, and it gives off a good atmosphere of a place that should not exist, that you should not be in. Enemies sound appropriately threatening with grunts and growls as you attack them, and they have gurgling sounds and whatnot when they die that are satisfying. The Keeper has an appropriately uncanny, inhuman voice that works great for his role in the story, and the lady that speaks to you through the game is most the human sounding enemy in the game, and it is appropriate that she was human once. It all sounds great. The voice acting is great too. All the characters are quite well played in this game, and there is not a bad performance in the mix. The main cast is rather small overall, with it mostly just being Tommy, Jen, grandfather, the woman at the center of the sphere. Was she ever even given a name? I don't think so. The priestess and the keeper. All of those characters were well played, and even lesser roles, like those two assholes at the bar at the beginning of the game, are well played as well. One interesting note about the cast is that Tommy and Jen were both played by natives. They're from a Canadian tribe, but still, Michael Grey Eyes plays Tommy and Crystal Lightning plays Jen. Grandfather, on the other hand, was played by John William Galt. He did great with the role, but given that they got natives for the other two Native American roles, this is a strange pick. He was the voice of Lo Wang in Shadow Warrior.
I like sword. That's a personal weapon. You got something with a bigger backseat? Oh, baby, what's up with your tailpipe? Lo Wang come for you, little snake coward. You not slither away a second time. Tora, Tora, Tora!
Yeah, I'm sure that voice is offensive to someone. Whatever, he did great with the role here. Finally, let's get to the music. And it is great too. Sometimes I will just sit on the main menu for a bit before I start to play the game, because the main menu theme of this game is awesome. And there are some licensed tracks in this game as well. I mentioned Don't Fear the Reaper by Blue Oyster Cult, but it has some killer tracks like Barracuda by Heart, You've Got Another Thing Coming by Judas Priest, and Cat Scratch Fever by Ted Nugent. It all adds onto an OST that was already pretty damn good. All in all, this game's sound design is excellent, the weapons sound good, the environments and effects sound appropriately gross, the music is excellent, complete with some licensed tracks, and the voice acting is great. Like I previously said, I have nothing negative to say as far as the game's soundscape is concerned. It holds up quite well 20 years after release, and it just lends to this game holding up well overall. Human Head Studios understood the assignment, as they say. A game can look and sound amazing, and it can have an interesting story, but all that can be completely wasted if the gameplay sucks. How does Prey play? I personally think it plays quite well. In a lot of ways, it does play like a fairly typical shooter at the time, but it was also quite innovative in a lot of ways as well. Don't hear me saying typical is a bad thing, though. It can play fairly typical and still be great and well made. And this is the case here. When you are in combat, this game does not do too much different from other corridor shooters at the time. Like many a shooter in the post-Halo world, Tommy moves at a slower pace. You travel through a linear corridor, you fight a variety of enemies with a variety of weapons that, while somewhat unique, also fall into archetypes for the genre. It is fairly standard in this regard. You have played shooters that play similarly to Prey, at least in some ways, with regards to its combat. Having said that, the enemies are fun to fight, the AI isn't bad. They do not just stand there and take it in the teeth. They will do things like duck and move into cover, and they will toss grenades your way to flush you out. They do a decent job of fighting back, and you are bound to have fun engaging with them as a result. They aren't pushovers. They do not feel frustrating or unfair either, though. The level design, while linear, is well designed, and they provide a wide variety of environments for you to fight enemies in, and scenarios for you to engage them in as well. It's good. Like I said, I do not hear standard and think that I am insulting the game. A game can be similar to others in the genre and still be a blast because it is well made. Prey's combat is exactly that. The combat loop and level design are both quite good, and it keeps combat fresh and interesting for the game's runtime. I mentioned that the weapons were both fairly unique and fairly archetypal at the same time. Let's talk about it. The first weapon that you get is a wrench. There's nothing special about it. It's just a wrench. You hit things with it. Beyond this, you will notice that every weapon is alive, though it does not play much into how they function. It's just cool to look at. Your second weapon is the hunter rifle. This works as a basic rapid fire machine gun type of weapon, as well as a more powerful sniper with a zoom function. The other thing that you will notice is that weapons have an alt fire. Tommy also gets a weapon called a leech gun. Now, this is the most unique weapon in this game. It leeches off of power outlets on the wall, and there are 3 types of outlets in total. One gives you fire-based damage, one gives you lightning-based damage, and the last one gives you ice-based damage. Fire is a rapid-fire type of damage, lightning is a more powerful burst of electricity, and ice will freeze enemies in their tracks. This might be my favorite weapon in the game. I love it. It is such a cool concept. The autocannon is a weapon that you will get when you chop off the enemy's arm in the first boss fight. As the name implies, it is a faster firing weapon. It is a faster rate of fire than the hunter rifle, and it does more damage. You get less ammo for it though. Its secondary fire is lobbing explosives at the enemy. So this works more like a submachine gun from Half-Life. It does look a hell of a lot cooler and more alien than that does. The acid sprayer is the game's workhorse shotgun. Every first-person shooter needs a shotgun type of weapon, right? This one splatters acid on the enemies. It has a slower rate of fire, of course, and it has a wider spread than the previous weapons. It works like a typical shotgun, but it fires acid. There are crawlers too. These are grenades. You know how grenades work. Pull the pin and throw, wait for shit to blow up. The final weapon, as you would expect, is a rocket launcher type weapon called the crawler cannon. And you guessed it, it fires explosives at the enemy. In this case, crawlers. It works exactly like you would expect it to, and it packs quite a wallop when it hits enemies. It can one-shot lesser enemies, but I swear there are enemies that have a shield against it. Maybe it's just me, but I swear sometimes it seems like they do. Whatever, the thing is still rather powerful, as a good rocket launcher should be. What was forward-thinking about Prey, however, was that the game did portals a year before the game Portal. You cannot cast them like you could in that game, but they are still used for some cool mind-bending puzzles that will get you thinking. The game also messes with gravity. It has these strips that you can stick to, and you will walk along them. They will lead you on the walls and the ceilings, and this means that enemies will enter the room above you or below you or to your left or to the right. Shooting someone that is to the left of you and is standing upside down or whatever is pretty wild, and seeing what direction the corpse falls when you kill enemies is so fucking cool. Gravity really keeps things interesting. Spirit walking is another mechanic in this game that Tommy has. Tommy's spirit can temporarily leave his body, and he can do things like pass through force fields and enter into areas that his body otherwise cannot. This is mostly used for puzzle solving, but you do have a bow that you can use to engage enemies and some minor combat should the need arise in your spirit form. It's pretty cool. Puzzles start off as simple as walking through a force field to press a button to turn it off, but they get more complex later on in the game. Talon also comes into play in the gameplay as well as your spirit guide. He will show you where to go for sure, but he can do more than that. When he lands near a screen, the alien writing on it gets translated into English, allowing you to read it. He can also engage enemies. He can distract them so that they will stop attacking you and have to deal with him instead, allowing you to get off some shots without being fired back at. He's awesome and helpful. Death is a mechanic in this game as well. When you die, you are taken to the spirit realm. There will be spirits that look like birds flying in circles around you. If you manage to shoot them with your bow, they will add to your life. Red ones add to your health, and blue ones add to your spirit health. You are only given a short amount of time to shoot them to regain your health before you are taken back to your body. It is a cool mechanic at first, but you will eventually realize that it does kind of take all the challenge out of the game. You can die as many times as you want, and you will just return back to your body where you left off. There is no penalty for dying at all. One more thing, Prey does have a few vehicle sections as well. These are not on rails, nor are you stuck to the ground. You are in a flying vehicle. You have specific points where you will have to land, and enemies can shoot the vehicle down. If that happens, it is straight back to the afterlife to do the death minigame that I just discussed. But the controls, well, the combating enemies is fun, and the tractor beam, as it's alt-fire, can be used for some light puzzle solving here and there. It's fun to use. I think that about covers it. Prey plays great. It is a hell of a lot of fun. The campaign gives you a good mix of puzzle solving and plenty of combat in between story and world building that keeps things fresh and interesting for the admittedly rather short runtime. Prey is awesome. It is fun as hell. It plays just as well now as it did 20 years ago. Father Time has been kind to this game and its gameplay, and it does not feel dated in its design. The puzzles are clever, and the combat loop is still fun. What about replayability? This is where you get a bit of a dent in the armor. Good luck finding online games 20 years later. I am not sure it even had a big online when it was new. Beyond that, there are no alternative endings. There are no collectibles. There are no branching paths in the story or anything. You get a 5 to 7 hour campaign that is fairly linear, and that's it. Whether you want to replay it depends upon how much you enjoy it. For me, I have beaten it more than once on both PC and console, and I can see myself replaying it again in the future. Prey is the complete package. Everything from the story, to the world building, to the graphics and sound design and gameplay all hold up well all these years later. This game is an absolute joy to sit down and play through, as it was 20 years ago when it first released. Sometimes development hell hurts a game in the long run. This is not one of those times. Prey came out the other side delivering on its promises and firing on all cylinders. I cannot recommend it enough. This game fucking rules. Go play it. What you have been looking at throughout the majority of this video is the PC version of the game, and this is the best version as you would expect. It is the best looking version of the game and has the best frame rate. You can mod it, and it is not difficult to get it running properly on modern resolutions for modern hardware. There's only one problem. You cannot buy this anywhere. It is not on Steam or GOG or any other digital storefront, making the PC version difficult to obtain legally. Night Dive. This would be a good candidate for a remaster. Please? It deserves it. It is, however, not the only option. It came to the Xbox 360 as well. This version of the game is not as good as the PC version. It has lower resolution textures, it has jaggies all over the place, and the frame rate is 30 FPS. At the best of times, it does not hold 30 and can dip quite a bit on the Xbox 360. When it gets hectic, the frame rate is prone to dipping below 20 FPS, and it is definitely noticeable. You can buy this version digitally, though. This version is the easiest to obtain nowadays. There is a good bit of news then that this version of the game is backwards compatible. If you purchase the Xbox 360 version, it does run on an Xbox One or the Xbox Series. Here it is running on the Xbox One X, where it will run upscaled to 4K. It is nice, but the real bonus of playing it this way is the frame rate. It still dips, mind you, but it does so a lot less often, and the dips are a lot less severe. Playing it on the Xbox One X, it will dip to the high 20s, but never seems to go down even as much as 25 FPS. This makes this game much more playable than it otherwise would be on original hardware. It also loads faster on the Xbox One X than it ever did on the Xbox 360, where it tends to suffer from fairly lengthy load times. This is probably the best option for retaining the game legally nowadays. Before I close this video, I did mention earlier that the game ends up on a cliffhanger that will probably never be resolved. I promised that I would talk about that. Well, about that. Prey proved to be a success for 3D Realms, and a sequel was greenlit rather quickly. Human Head Studio would start development on Prey 2 shortly after. The sequel was announced to the public in August 2006, and it hit a snag in the road almost immediately. Take-Two had no interest in funding a sequel, so Human Head Studios had to find someone else to fund development of the game. This earlier version of Prey 2 was never seen by the public, and we do not know much about it except that Tommy was going to return in it. However, the Prey 2 that people in the know are familiar with entered development in 2009 when ZeniMax, the parent company for Bethesda, acquired the license to Prey. The game was announced to the world with a big trailer in 2011, and it was scheduled for release in 2012 for the PC, PlayStation 3, and Xbox 360. This game was once again going to run on a heavily modified version of id Tech 4, the Doom 3 engine. The game would feature a new character named Killian Samuels, and he would be a bounty hunter. It would take place on an alien world reminiscent of Blade Runner, and Tommy would be involved in the story with various audio logs in the game where Killian would talk about meeting him. It would take place in an open cyberpunk world inspired by Blade Runner. Killian was a U.S. Marshal that got abducted during the events of the first game, and he awakens in an alien city with no memory of how he got there. The player would also be able to wander around the world and talk to various NPCs that inhabit it. And they would give him bounties of aliens that they needed to be taken out, and the player would explore and find and take out the targets. The core of the game would return, the alien species would return, there would be more spheres, the Keeper would return, the predator and prey relationship where the Keeper are hunting people would make a return, and the team was faced with the challenge of making all of this work with the main character being a bounty hunter. Prey 2 had acrobatics as part of its combat loop as well. Killian could slide, he could jump, and he could ledge grab. All the abilities helped quicken the pace of combat from the first game. Killian was to be a more agile character than Tommy was. All of this was shown off at E3 2011, and critics at the show that year came away impressed. It is unfortunate that E3 2011 also marked a turning point for the relationship between Human Head Studios and Bethesda. What exactly happened behind the scenes is not 100% certain. Bethesda was happy with the progress made and how the game demoed at E3 and promised more development time, though they still shot for 2012 release. Bethesda was also allegedly unhappy that Human Head was using a dated engine, as Doom 3 was 7 years old at this point. The fucking audacity when they were working on the same engine, building it up since Morrowind. But whatever, they were allegedly not happy with this. Apparently Bethesda never wrote it into a contract that Human Head would get more time to develop the game. And Human Head was not happy about this, understandably. This allegedly resulted in financial problems for the studio, and then the team had to do contract work for other games, most notably BioShock Infinite, to continue to keep the lights on. Bethesda also allegedly tried to purchase Human Head Studios when they did not want to be bought, and the team went on strike to stop this from happening. The team making the game did not get real work done the following year because of this, and Bethesda wanted to just wait out the contract and take control of Prey outright, ripping the game away from the studio that had been working hard on it, and from all the gamers that were hyped up for it, myself included. For the record, Pete Hines has denied the claims in interviews later on, but I have questions. Bethesda did ultimately wind up with the IP, and Prey 2 never happened. What is and isn't true isn't really known, but what we do know is Bethesda repeatedly used the same line when asked about Prey 2, and it getting delayed and whatnot. The game failed to meet their quality standards. Given the launch date of Fallout 76, I cannot help but feel that this was more the result of Bethesda, Human Head, or both being petty behind the scenes. If Prey 2 did not meet your standards, but that broken trash fire did, what exactly are your standards? The developers reportedly insisted that their work was high quality. Well, the first Prey was high quality, so I lean more toward Human Head being correct on this one. Unfortunately, Prey 2 was cancelled and we got a different game in 2017. That year, we got a spiritual successor to System Shock that happened to be named Prey. It was really the final nail in Prey 2's coffin. Bethesda just gave the name to another company. I do not hate the 2017 game for being called Prey while having nothing to do with Prey. I do not hate Arcane either for making a game called Prey that had nothing to do with Prey either. I begrudge Bethesda for insisting that the game be called Prey despite having no connection to the previous game. I have not played the 2017 game, but by all accounts, it is a great game. Fans and critics alike have all praised it a great deal. Friends of mine have told me that it is great and assured me that I would love it, and I probably would. I love System Shock 1 and 2. You tell me that you are working on a spiritual successor to it, and it sparks my interest. I cannot hate it, but I will forever wonder just what we lost with Prey 2. Because everything that we have seen from it looks awesome. Fingers crossed someone somewhere gets a build of the game and finishes it, or we get an official release of it, or its ideas are taken to create a whole new Prey 2, but it's probably dead forever. Well, that was a depressing note to end on, but thank you for watching. This video was an absolute beast to put together, and I wanted to cover all my bases and give this game the love that it deserves. What do you think of the 2006 game Prey? Did you like it as much as I did? Let me know below. Be sure to subscribe and ring the bell, and make sure you get future notifications from this channel. If you could give this video a like and a share, that would help out a lot as well. Talk to you later, everybody. Doomdog out.